Good evening, my students. Welcome back to our lecture. Our today's lecture is about conversation in the novel. Before giving the lecture, I'd like to convey we wish you a Merry Christmas for my students who have celebrated it. Okay, let's start our discussion by discussing about pragmatics and the interpretation of conversation. Well, some parts of conversations are pretty unremarkable and can be understood almost entirely from our knowledge of syntax and lexis. The following fragment, for example, comes from E.M. Foster's short story, The Celestial Omnibus. Well, below you can see the dialogues from E.M. Foster's short story about the pragmatics and interpretation of conversation. Please listen to it well so that you will understand the important point or the important aspect of this first discussion. About when do you start? He tried to sound nonchalant. At sunrise. How far do you go? The whole way. And can I have a return ticket which will bring me all the way back? You can. The boy in the story asks perfectly straightforward questions of the driver of the celestial omnibus and receives tailor-made answers. The situation itself is apt because the bus is bound for heaven. But the question and answer sequence is ordinary enough. So, in its way, is the following conversation between Nicholas Earp and Mr. Consis from the Magus by John Follis. So here, I'd like to show you off about some dialogues taken from some short stories so that you can distinguish the differences between the dialogues or between the short stories. I shall see you next spring then. Perhaps. I have a 2-year contract at the school. Ah, will she be here next year? You will not see her, but will she be here? The conversation between the two characters in the Magus is ordinary enough. It could easily occur in real life, but notice that the value we have stated for concise remarks cannot be arrived at merely through an understanding of the syntactic and lexical structure of the exchange. We also have to use pragmatic interpretative strategies. In order to understand the interaction of character and character in dialogue, then it will be useful to see how we can profitably apply the work of those who have developed the pragmatic analysis of ordinary conversation. To sum up what we have discussed further about the two examples of the dialogues from two short stories that here, what we call as the understanding of the syntactic and lexical structure of the exchange. also uses pragmatic interpretative strategies. And also, in order to understand the interaction of character and character in dialogue, it will be useful to see how we can profitably apply the work of those who have developed the pragmatic analysis of ordinary conversation. So here, pragmatic analysis of ordinary conversation has an important role in determining the understanding of the interaction of character and character in dialogue of the short stories. Next. The second important aspect of our discussion today is about speech acts. One important concept which relates utterance meaning to context is that of the speech act, as developed by J.L. Austin and J.R. Searle. Searle's stating point is the observation that when people utter sentences, they also perform acts of various kinds, such as declaring, asking, requesting, commanding, promising, and so on. Sometimes the kind of act performed is made obvious by the presence of a performative verb, as in the request. For example, I beg you to come here. So the point of this one is about the speech acts, the important concept of utterance theory delivered or developed by G.L. Austin and J.R. Searle. Here, the most important aspect studied is about the observation that when people utter sentences, they also perform acts of various kinds, as you can see here, such as declaring, asking, requesting, commanding, and promising. All of these acts, okay, are called as the illocutionary acts. And also sometimes the kinds of act performed is made by obvious by the presence of a performative verb, as in the request, I beg you to come here. However, this is not usually the case. For example, please come here is as much a request as I ask you to come here, and is more likely to occur in actual conversation. Speech acts, as this example already shows, are in principle independent of syntactic and semantic categories. For example, to make a request, we may use many different syntactic forms, which oftenly, in their semantic content, mean different things. Okay, as you can see, below there are three different things in their semantic content. For example, the first one, please come here, imperative meaning. The second one, could you come here, has interrogative meaning. And the third one, I'd like you to come here, has a declarative meaning. So in speech hack, you are ordered not only being able to understand the meaning of utterance in situation, but you have to know about the use of different syntactic forms. For example, especially in their semantic content, like I said before, please come here has an imperative meaning. Meanwhile, could you come here has an interrogative meaning. And I'd like you to come here has a declarative meaning. Although you see the things or the what we call it the utterance, yeah, the utterance slightly has different, similar meaning, but when you break them out into semantic content, they have different things or different semantic contents. Like I said here, once again, please come here has imperative meaning. Okay, please come here. This phrase has an imperative meaning. Meanwhile, could you come here? Could you come here? So the use of could here represent what we call as the interrogative meaning. And also, I'd like you to come here. Uh, the use of I'd like represent um, the use of declarative meaning. In most context, sentences would have approximately the same force as speech acts, although they have different syntactic forms and differ in sense and tone. We must therefore keep separate the pragmatic force of an utterance and its semantic sense. While semantic is concerned with the representation through the language system of differential reality, pragmatic is concerned with the enactment through language of situational reality. The two realities are not totally distinct, of course, and in fact, it is the function of an important class of elements called deictics. Uh, Specifically, for example, this, that, here, there, now, then, I, you, present, and past tenses, etc. Refer directly or indirectly to elements of situation. So here, they take have important role in determining what we call it here the realities. Okay, the realities to refer directly or indirectly to elements of situation. Well, that's all for my lecture today. As usual, at the end of the slide or at the end of my lecture, there will be some question um, that or which must be answered by students within 15 minutes. So please do it well or answer it correctly for about 15 minutes. Time is yours. Good luck. And also the material will be sent into our WhatsApp group number. Okay, let's check our subgroup number to discover the material of our lecture today. So I hope you reread it to find out the best answer for every number. Time is yours. Well, the time is over. Are you ready to answer the questions? Let's start by answering number one. What is the function of pragmatic interpretative strategy? Who would like to answer the question? Number one. Hello. Okay, if there is no student who would like to answer it, I'll choose one of you to answer the question number one. Indri, number one.
All right, I will try. What is the function of pragmatic interpretative strategy? Uh, the value we have stated for concise remarks cannot be arrived at merely through an understanding of the syntactic and lexical structure of the exchange. And we also have to use pragmatic interpretative strategies. I think that's the answer.
Okay, that's it. Correct. Thank you, Indri, for giving or for making the correct answer. Number two, what is the function of pragmatic analysis of ordinary conversation? Ananda Intan, your turn, number two. Ananda, now is your turn. Number two, please. Hello, number two. Ananda. Okay, what about Gede Madriana, number two?
All right, sir. What is the function of pragmatic analysis of ordinary conversation? The function of pragmatic analysis of ordinary conversation is to understand the interaction of character and character in dialogues. Then it will be useful to how we can sorry. I think that's all I can answer, sir.
Yes, that's right. To understand the character of the dialogue. Thank you, Mr. Gede, for number two. Number three, what is speech act? Ada, your turn now. Ada Manuhutu. Are you still with us?
Ya, Pak.
Yes, now is your turn. Number three. What is speech acts?
What is speech act? Independent of syntactic and semantic categories. For example, to make a request, we may use many different syntactic forms, which is overtly in the semantic content, mean different things. Is that?
That's it? Okay, speech acts is one important concept which relates utterance meaning to context. Developed by Austin and Searle. Okay, because the time is nearly over, the rest or the remnant will be your assignment, okay, from number 4 to number 5. As usual, at the end of the lecture, I'll send the link of the attendance into our chat column. Okay, please check it out. Okay, please check our chat column. Okay, the first link is for the regular students, while the second one is for the executive ones. Okay, time is yours. Please fill out your identity into the attendance. Have you got the link?
James the instruction then it will be useful to see.
Okay, have you finished?
Ya, Pak.
Okay, well, before I end up our lecture, I'd like to sum up our discussion today. Today we have discussed or studied about the topic conversation in the novel. And inside of our general discussion, we have examined or we have analyzed about pragmatics and interpretation of conversation, and also about speech acts and some important aspects of it. I hope what I've explained or presented today will give you new perspectives or new insight about the topic being discussed today, especially about conversation in the novel. Well, I think that's all for today. See you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
welcome.